Focus falls on improving literacy in the country.
The 2016 Progress in International Reading Literacy study showed almost 80% of grade 4 pupils failed to reach the low international benchmark for reading and comprehension for that grade, and they lack the fundamental skills for further learning. Well, Dr. Andries Oliphant is the chairperson of the South African Book Development Council. He joins us on the line from Pretoria now. Good afternoon, Prof, and thank you so much for your time on the SABC News Desk.
Good afternoon.
Prof, are we a nation that's in a reading crisis right now, or is that being alarmist?
Yes, I think the root of the problem goes back to, the colonial system, apartheid education, Bantu education, and it has been exacerbated in the post-apartheid era through the educational policies which have been adopted, particularly for basic education, the so-called outcomes-based education, which takes an industrial model of production and outcomes and imposes it on a process which, in fact, should be governed by creativity, by inventiveness, by exploration, by play, by a whole set of verbal forms of empowerment and human interaction that are not strictly governed in a rigid or conveyor belt-like.
Prof, more and more research showing that wealth and reading ability are strongly correlated for now. Now, we understand that children in richer countries and more affluent households read better. But it's more than just about resources, isn't it? We want to try and understand what makes a good reader.
There is a correlation between the levels of the human skills, that is, the levels of education, and the knowledge and education is primarily transmitted through reading, through the acquisition of knowledge, through reading and through communication in writing and speech. That is the base for education. And economic development and wealth creation is dependent on it. In other words, there's no way you'll be able to create a prosperous society with a population that lacks basic educational skills. And in the age and time in which we are living, which is the information and knowledge age, this becomes even more critical.
Professor, what would you say are some of the barriers right now to leisure reading and consolidating robust reading culture? And what can be done over the short term to produce great readers and leaders and inculcate a reading culture at a young age?
There has been, for decades now, during the later apartheid years, and during the first 2 decades of the post-apartheid dispensation, there have been many reading campaigns and organizations involved in literacy and reading. But we can see now, based on the evidence of this international research, that all these efforts have not really had the impact which has been sought. So what needs to be done is we need to go and look at the effectiveness, the appropriateness of these interventions. We need to go back to the family, to the nurturing of children from a very early age, because you cannot function in society without language and without communication in its verbal form and in its written form. And this needs to be rooted and anchored within the family. And then the first years in school, the basic phases of education, those are the critical stages in which the ground must be laid.
Professor, just on that note, when it comes to those interventions, is it a case of that we're simply starting with these interventions far too late in a child's life, when the real emphasis should be when they're very little, with children who are not yet at school and not in grade 1 yet? How early can we start developing these crucial literacy skills?
Well, some people, and it may sound esoteric, some people would say that when the child is in the home, telling stories, which creates a tranquil atmosphere, a meditative atmosphere within the environment in which the unborn child finds itself. But I would say from the day the child is born, the mother and the father, the parents interact with the child through sign language, through sounds, through playing acoustically, later forming words, and taking those early steps and building upon them. In other words, there should be children's books, early picture books, early storytelling books in the household where the child is being nurtured.
Dr. Andries Oliphant,
Dr.
Andries Oliphant, I do wish we had more time to chat about this very pertinent issue that is close to all of our hearts. He's the chairperson of the South African Book Development Council, joining us on the line there.